The black Hebrews makes global white supremacy stronger. When black people hinges our liberation on a biblical fairy tale written by our most ungodliest enemies and that was brutally beaten into the blood-soaked minds of our ancestors, we are in fact making damn fools of ourselves. Those who does so are ignorant of their own ignorance. The black Hebrews have actually done more for the benefit of global white supremacy than any black institution in history. This is a fact. The black Hebrews teaches their followers that they're cursed and that therefore the white society's mistreatment of us merely fulfills God's plan. This creates mindsets that makes our people more accepting and complacent in regard to their oppression. Clearly, this mindset directly benefits the white society. When we teach our children that they're cursed, this is very harmful to their psyches. When they grow up believing that they're cursed, this creates a future generations of mentally enslaved black people, which also benefits the system of white supremacy. The black Hebrews' ideologies also divides millions of black people in the U.S. from the billions in Africa by teaching his followers to blame the enslavement of our ancestors more greatly upon Africans rather than the brutal white enslavers. This also benefits the white society. However, the participation of Africans in the African slave trade has been greatly exaggerated to reduce white culpability in the white society's participation of the African slave trade. White historians whitewash facts to make it appear that most of our ancestors were merely sold away by Africans to the white invaders. But critically think and apply common sense. When the Europeans invaded Africa, Africa had all the gold, diamond, minerals, natural resources, and Western money had no value whatsoever in Africa. So if most Africans were sold away by other Africans, how then did the white enslavers purchase those millions of enslaved Africans? This profound flaw exists within the narrative that most slaves were sold away because that narrative is totally untrue. Given the history shared between we Africans and Caucasians, do you really think that those Caucasians went into Africa with weaponry advantages of guns and cannons, but rather than maximize their profit by stealing most of the Africans? That they instead purchased them with money that had no value in Africa? Such a belief is an idiotic one, because such a claim totally contradicts 400 years of the demonstrated behavior of whites in regard to black people when it comes to making profit. Clearly, the majority of slaves were not sold or given to the white invaders. That's merely a whitewashed version of history. The black Hebrews ignorantly uses the justification of their hatred towards black people by saying most slaves were sold away. This hatred benefits the system of white supremacy. Because when Africans are divided globally, we lose our global numeral advantage and we're stripped of all hopes of defeating global white supremacy. The white enslavement of Africans had absolutely nothing to do with a Bible that was brutally beaten into the minds of our ancestors. There was no prophecy involved in the white society's enslavement of us. It was a matter of necessity. The slaves needed by the white invaders needed stronger immune system to survive the many diseases carried by the Europeans. Europeans brought a large number of diseases to America that caused the deaths of millions of Native Americans. The other diseases included were smallpox, influenza, pneumonia, measles, scarlet fever, chickenpox, etc. Nearly all of these European diseases were communicable and by air and touch, thus making it easy for the disease to spread rapidly. This made it very easy for the Native Americans to become affected by the diseases. It is estimated that countless millions of Native Americans died due to the disease carried by Europeans. This is the fact that they keep out of history books. This is also what happens in the Caribbean. The inhabitants of the Caribbean were not the Jamaicans, Bahamians who were there. They were the Arawak Indians. And they all died because of the white man's disease. So they got the Africans because the Africans' immune system allowed us to be in the vicinity of the Caucasians without dying as so many of the Americans have done. The Native Americans. Speaking of diseases, are you aware that syphilis and gonorrhea are also originated in Europe? Most people don't know these facts because most people don't know true history. We only know the false version that the white side has given us. The black Hebrews also believed that making Jesus black and renaming him Yahshua somehow ridiculously makes him real. This belief demonstrates profound ignorance of the facts of how the Bible was written. A thorough review of how the Bible was actually written, you would learn about the Nicene Creed, where the story of Jesus was created by Constantine, the Roman emperor, in the year 325 AD with the Council of Bishops. Now, when the Romans created the Jesus Messiah myth, it was an ingenious scam. Its ideology that to enter the kingdom of heaven, you had to go through Jesus, literally meant that the church held the only key to heaven. That's ultimate power on earth. Moreover, the Romans that wrote the Bible in the year 325 AD were a sexually depraved society that engaged in massive orgies, pedophilia, incest, bestiality, and death sports. And they continued these practices long after writing the Bible. Furthermore, the Roman Emperor Constantine, the person in charge of writing the Bible himself, refused to convert into a Christian. Even upon his deathbed, he refused to do so. Come on. You wouldn't take a meal from a chef who refused to taste his own food, would you? Now, these noted facts, combined with the additional fact that the Bible strongly condones slavery, totally disqualifies it from being the true words of God. Therefore, there is no returning Messiah. That myth has been used as a tool to keep us complacently waiting on nothing, waiting for a hero to float down and rescue us. Those who are ignorant will say that my words are untrue because Christianity was originally taught in Ethiopia. Therefore, it's actually our religion. Many believe that the discovery of old Bibles and paintings proves that Christianity was originally from Ethiopia. However, in reality, the Roman Emperor Constantine created a false religion in the year 325 AD. Christianity did not become the official religion of Ethiopia until the reign of King Ezana in the year 341 AD. That's 16 years after the Romans created the false religion. So those old Bibles and old paintings proves nothing. Romans created the false religion. If these facts offend you, it's because you are mentally enslaved by lies. The Black Hebrew teachings also divides millions of Black people in the U.S. from the billions in Africa by teaching their followers that we're not Africans. Although millions of us have taken DNA analysis, which has scientifically confirmed our African origin. They base this division based upon the story of Noah's son, Ham and Shem. They claim that Africans are of Ham and we African Americans are of Shem. However, Shem and Ham never actually existed. The Noah's Ark story never happened. It's not even a Hebrew mythology. It is totally unadulterated falsehood. The men who wrote the Bible plagiarized it from the Mesopotamian story called the Gilgamesh epic. I pronounced the word wrong. I have difficulty with it. That Mesopotamian story even includes the story about the first rainbow after the flood. We also know that the biblical flood never occurred because there have existed great civilization thriving during the time of the flood allegedly happened. And they kept great records. And they mention nothing about being wiped off the face of the earth in a flood. These civilizations includes the Chinese dynasty, the ancient Egyptian dynasty, the Mesopotamian dynasty, the Sumerian, the Persians, and more. In reality, there was never a flood that covered the entire planet and destroyed the world. It's a fairy tale. Furthermore, the Black Hebrews claim that our descendants are from Ham. It's also totally debunked. That Africans are Ham, we're from Shem, is totally debunked because the biblical story of takes place, according to biblical scholars, 4,300 years ago. Okay? But however, the existence of Africans is much older. We are much older than that time. In South Africa, science unearthed ancient bones belonging to at least 15 individuals. These bones are estimated at being 20,000 years or a million years old. There was also the remains called Lucy found in Ethiopia at over 3 million years old. These findings of African bodies are much older than the fictional biblical story of Ham and Shem. Those stories are untrue to say that we come from those people on the ship. When we do so, we marginalize our existence. We minimize our existence. It's only by ignorance can African Americans believe that we came from Shem and Ham. Those stories literally minimizes our existence. You know, the most ignorant aspect of calling Africans Hamites is the fact that it was the ungodly enslavers that originally called our ancestors Hamites. They used it to justify their enslavement of us. Now, because we are ignorant by history, black Hebrews are now calling themselves Shem and calling the Africans Hamites. Totally ignorant of the fact that that's the name the white man used to call us. Furthermore, when we critically think, of course the Noah's Ark story is totally untrue. For to believe that is true, one would have to believe the ridiculous premise that two of every animal walked across the entire planet to get into a large wooden boat that was by a 500-year-old man. That's ridiculous. When black people divide ourselves over superstition, we are forfeiting all hopes of defeating white global supremacy. To renounce our associative powers as black people is to foolishly forfeit our numeral advantage globally. Any religion that promotes a division between black people across the world based upon a Bible easily proven as false is a foolish religion. The Bible is not a history book. There is no evidence of the existence of Hebrews in Egypt. According to Exodus 12:40, the Israelites lived in Egypt for 430 years. The Bible mentions Egypt 700 times. Yet there is no mention of Israel in any Egyptian history. No archaeology evidence outside of biblical scriptures. Biblical scriptures written by our ungodliest enemies is not proof. There exists no evidence of Israel ever being in Egypt. There is no evidence of the leader named Moses. There's no synagogue. There's no mention of the Jews or the 10 plagues in the entire extensive history of Egypt. We have no clue, not even a single word about the early Israelites in Egypt. Neither in monument, inscription on the walls of the temples, nor in the tomb inscriptions, nor in papyri, nor in Israel. Israel is totally absent as a possible foe or a friend of Egypt. They don't exist. Now, if the Israelites were true, there would be some evidence that they existed. There would be some evidence. However, they left us no evidence of all of Israel ever being in Egypt. More importantly, the Egyptian records themselves, they have no information, nothing about anything recorded in Exodus. Nothing. But yet we believe, even though there's no evidence of this. The enslavement of Jewish people was not written even once, nor was the name Moses ever written, nor was the story of the Red Sea parting ever mentioned. Now, certainly if the Red Sea actually parted to allow Jews to walk through it and then rejoin, and then the pharaohs drowned, there would be something written on the walls of Egypt. But there's nothing. There's no document of anything that you see in the Bible because it's totally fabricated. When black people hinge our liberation onto a biblical fairy tale, we're in fact making damn fools of ourselves. Now, usually people have the right to believe what they want to believe, okay? And this comes from the fact where the white dominant society has taught us that everyone has their own truths. Now, that's a lie. They teach that because they benefit from lies. There's either the truth or the lie. If you're not functioning based upon what's true, you're functioning based upon lie. And while people have the luxury to believe what they want to believe, this does not include the oppressed. The oppressed must function based upon what is actually true in order to liberate themselves. Because if not, all of our liberating remedies that stem from our flawed beliefs will also be flawed. The worst enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It's actually false knowledge. Because an ignorant person might still learn and search for the truth. But an ignorant person believing that his false knowledge is true stops searching for the truth and becomes mentally enslaved by the false knowledge. The Bible is false knowledge that mentally enslaves millions of black people. And because of the Bible, millions of black people goes from their cradle to their grave, having lived their entire lives being mentally enslaved by the white society. Therefore, living their entire lives and their mind was never truly theirs. And they fight against those of us who present the facts. They hate us. Facts mean nothing to them. Truth mean nothing to them. They want to continue believing their belief even though there's no foundation behind their beliefs. This is mental slavery. This is what mental slavery is. When people abandon their critical thinking, they ignore facts just to believe something. Our people are mentally enslaved. Brothers and sisters out there, those who are awake, who totally understands me, know that we are out there. And I know we feel outnumbered. We feel overwhelmed because some of our people are brainwashed by the white society. But continue to speak the truth, talk the truth, speak the truth. I give the analogy of a great ship, okay? There's a large ship. And if you're on a ship and the people on the ship have been brainwashed and they're all heading the wrong direction and they're heading toward danger, and you, with an awakened mind, you decide to research and you research the direction of the ship. You plot the maps, you look at everything, and then you say, wait a minute, we're going in the wrong direction. We're being misled. Now, if you, us who are awakened, try to grab that steering wheel to change the ship, the brainwashed people on the ship will attack us and call us crazy. So what we must do instead, we must spread the truth to our people. Get more and more of our people to understand what's been done to us. Now, we'll never get all, but we just need to get a stronger amount to help us turn the ship around. You know, some black people will never change, will never learn. It's like sometimes a fruit falls from a tree. And it falls so hard and so far and rolls so far away from the tree that it's no longer of the tree. When you pick up the fruit and look at it, it's been bruised and damaged. And there's nothing you can do to return that fruit back to the tree. Nothing you can do. Many of our people's minds are that way. They've been so socialized by the white society, hundreds of years of socializing, that their minds cannot be restored to its proper place. But rather than focus on those or being heartbroken by those who are brainwashed, just spread the truth. Spread the truth. And those who are receptive to it will connect. They'll connect. That's what we must do. I'm asking you to share the truth. Share the truth. Continue doing so. One love and peace, brothers and sisters.